Master's bone. Tim was a puppy, just about 3 months old. He was supposed to be white, but he never was really white. Very often he was covered with mud, because he had rolled in all the puddles he could find. Or if it was not mud, it was dust, because he had been trying to get into a rabbit's hole. One day he came home with green paint all over his back, and on another day with tar halfway up his 4 legs. It looked just as if he had black socks on. So you see, he did not often look white. But even on the days when he had just been bathed, and for a few minutes was quite clean, he still did not look really white. His hair was so short and bristly, and his skin which showed through was so pink, that at his best he only looked pinky white. Then he was not all white. He had 2 fully brown patches, one just where his tail grew, which always looked as though it had got there by mistake, and one on his face. You can see it in the picture, and what an odd look it gives him. You will think, no doubt, from the picture, that Tim is a naughty puppy and bent on mischief. He is a bad dog, but he does not mean to be so. He has a very kind master whom he loves very much, and licks and kisses whenever he can get near enough. He hates to make him cross, and yet, somehow, almost everything he does is wrong. If he scrambles onto the table, which is very clever for a wee pup, and finds some nice food there to eat, it is bad. If he is sick afterwards from eating it too fast, that is worse. If he plays with his master's slipper or his mistress's handkerchief, and after really hard work makes a hole in them, that is bad. Once, with a great leap, he managed to reach the tablecloth with his teeth, and hanging by it, swinging to and fro, not many puppies could do that, you know. But that was bad. Very bad. Really, how is a puppy only 3 months old to remember that all these things are bad? One day, after he had been playing with his master, Tim was left in the room alone, on master's chair. The chair was near the table, and by scrambling first onto the arm of the chair, he found he could get onto the table. He knew that it was bad, really, but just at that moment he did not think of it. There was not anything very exciting on the table, except that funny brown thing that master was so fond of putting in his mouth. Master's bone, Tim used to think it was. Now Tim did not like this bone. Master was very nice indeed, but it was a pity that when he picked him up and put him on his shoulder or close to his face, as he often did, he had such a strong, nasty smell. It was a choky kind of smell, and often it made poor Tim feel quite ill. Now this bone had the same smell, only much worse. If master did not have this bone, he would not have the nasty smell. In the picture you see him trying to think it all out. He did not want master to have this bone, and when Tim did not want a bone just at that moment, he always took it to the garden and buried it. Master did not seem to know how to do that, so perhaps Tim thought that the best thing he could do was to bury it for him. He picked it up very carefully in his mouth. Really, the smell and the taste were horrible. Scrambled off the table and trotted very seriously down the garden till he came to a place where he knew the earth was loose and easy to dig. He made a hole with his paws, put in the bone, and pushed the earth over it with his nose, just as he had often done with his own bones. A few minutes later, Master came into the room where he had left his pipe. "Mary," he said to Tim's mistress, "have you seen my pipe?" "Yes," said mistress. "It was on the ashtray on the table." "I thought so," said master. "But where is it now?" "Hallo, look here." And master pointed to a spot on the tablecloth, where could be seen a patch of short white hairs. "Master Tim," cried master. "The young rascal, he's taken it. I wonder where he is." "In the garden, probably," said mistress. "Look." She pointed out of the window, and there, sitting in the middle of the lawn, was the wee white pup, looking rather miserable and very solemn, for he was not feeling very well. The bone had tasted so strongly. "Tim, you young rascal," said master, going out to him, "what have you done with my pipe?" Tim did not know what his master said, but he did know in a second that something was wrong. So he crawled to his master's feet, lay down on his back, and put his 4 paws in the air, knowing that often that would persuade his master to play with him instead of being cross. But master had seen the earth on the top of his nose and on his front paws, so he only pushed him with his foot. "Come and show me where you have hidden it," he said. Tim knew now master was looking for his lost bone, so he crawled after him down the garden, and when he came to the spot where it was buried, stopped with his tail between his legs, and looked up at his master anxiously. Was he going to be cross? But master saw where Tim had been digging and quickly uncovered his pipe. When he saw it was not hurt, he laughed. "You young rascal," he said. That was all. But somehow Tim knew he wasn't cross now, and frisked and frolicked about all over his shoes.